Good evening. We're calling to order the October 12th meeting of the Sebastian Planning and Zoning Commission. We'll begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Roberts?
Here.
Ms. Matthews?
Present.
Ms. Cottenberg?
Present.
Mr. Carter?
Present.
Ms. LaRusso?
Present.
Mr. Haddix?
Here.
Ms. Battles is excused tonight. Ms. Kitchen?
Here.
And Ms. Giese is excused tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Our announcements for this evening are that Ms. Giese and Ms. Battles are both excused, absent from this meeting, and Mr. Roberts will be voting this evening in the place of Ms. Battles. And I'd also announce to our audience, we haven't all gone deaf, but we're having difficulties with the audio system up here, and we can sometimes see your lips moving, but we can't hear you. So, ta-da. Okay, members of the committee, you've all had an opportunity to review the minutes of our last meeting. What is your pleasure?
I move approval of the minutes for the September 7th meeting.
Second. Beat me to it, Linda.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. The next issue is our quasi-judicial hearing tonight. And I'm hereby opening that hearing. The title of this evening's hearing is Quasi-Judicial Public Hearing, Conditional Use Permits for New Model Homes at the Spirit of Sebastian's Model Home Center, Lots 4 through 8. Pod 2, Spirit of Sebastian Subdivision, PUD-R, Planned Unit Development Residential Zoning District. Have any of the commissioners had any ex parte communication?
No.
No.
No?
No.
No? Thank you. Nor I. If our attorney will swear in any who are going to testify this evening?
If anyone's giving testimony before the board tonight, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give before the board tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God, or on your oath?
Yes.
Thank you.
If the applicant will now make your presentation in favor of the request.
I just wanted to point out too, as you can see on the agenda, there are applications for 4 model homes. This is a model home center. We'll do one hearing, and you can make one motion, but I wanted to clarify for the record, this is for 4 separate model home applications. Each residential structure is requesting a conditional use permit to act as a model home until such time they decide not to renew their model home permit, if approved.
Okay, but we're going to vote on it as a group.
We can do it as one hearing and make one motion as long as we include all 4 of those model home addresses.
All righty.
Thank you. Please give us your name and...
I'm Robert Votar with the Spirit of Sebastian Project. I'm also a resident here in Sebastian. The first thing I'd like to say is thank you for doing this special meeting tonight. It's greatly appreciated, and I know your time is very valuable. The 4 model homes, I believe, were applied for by the 2 builders who are actually building those models. And I'm here to just answer any questions that you may have. And we also have our engineer who was also part of that permit submittal as well. So anything that you have that you need the question answered, I'm here to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Staff presentation, please.
Yes, thank you, Commission. This is a request for model homes and a model home center. Model homes in a residential district are conditional use, which means they have additional criteria they need to meet, and that criteria is listed in your staff report. And as you can see, we have reviewed their plan. You've got the surveys and the kind of the layout where each one of those models will go, and then that center lot is going to be a temporary parking lot, which may be there for a few years, but it's eventually ultimately there'll be a home there when the model homes do not renew. But, so you have that information. They have acknowledged they're aware of the times in which they can be open. These homes are not going to be used as their contractor sites where their subcontractors and contractors are coming to pick up their paychecks or anything. That's not what these are going to be used for. It's going to be potential customers going through these houses. They can sign binders there, not necessarily full closings, but they act as their model home and office. The only item that we had put some asterisks with is one of the model home signs for Ryan Homes. At this point, their initial proposed sign was a little bit larger than what the code does allow. So we'll get that taken care of through the permits. It'll be a similar design sign, just may be at a smaller size. Staff recommends approval. We do have some conditions of approval. The initial model home permit comes before you, but they do have to be renewed each year. Those renewals are just more of we'll go out and do a little code enforcement, make sure everything's good, but it does not come back before you, just this initial one. So we have that our conditions are that the model home permits are renewed annually per section of the code, that they receive permits for the model home signage, and we put in there just to make it more of a matter that the illegal flags and signage cannot be used in off-premise signs. They couldn't have signs off-site directing you to the model homes. That's not allowed per that. And that once the last model home permit expires, that the parking area and the model home signage is removed and it goes back to a residential district in that area. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Now we'll have questions, and we'll start at this end this time. You get to be first.
That's okay, and I have no questions.
I'm good. That's pretty self-explanatory.
No questions?
No questions.
I had a question.
Good.
So there's the 4 model homes, they're there till this project's completed. Are they gonna be converted into permanent residents as well?
Yeah, so they initially come in as a single-family house permit. Bedroom, bathrooms, just kind of layout. Of course, they can be furnished when they're showing, but they're built as single-family homes. I believe the only building code that the building official requires them is that one of the bathrooms has to have a handicapped accessible doorway because they are going to be used for a public purpose. But then, yes, then once they don't expand their model home now, they may have in the garage, maybe they have some shelving that shows product, your carpeting. I'm not sure what each builder has. That gets all taken out, and then we go back and make sure that they have the garage that's functional as a single-family home. And yes, then it'll be sold to a resident. And the parking lot would be removed, and most likely a house permit will come in for that lot also then.
Okay, so it's a fully functional home with
Yes.
electric and plumbing and?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then do we know how long those units are gonna?
So
Stay
I'm not sure if this, maybe Mr. Robert can respond to this. I don't know if this model center is also for Pod 1. As you know, Spirit of Sebastian has 5 pods. They have final platted and they're beginning building in Pod 2, which is 60 lots. And then they have Pod 1 is 120. I think he's going to give you a PowerPoint presentation at the next quasi-judicial hearing. So I'm not sure if this model center is for Pod 1 also.
Yes, ma'am, it is for Pod 1 and Pod 2, and that's 207 homes which have been approved at this time. So it does function for both of those. So they'll be there for quite a few years to come, but they are built as residents. They are intended to be turned over to a resident at that time. And I will let you know that sometimes the builders will go ahead and sell these homes to an end user and then rent them back from that, so that they already have an exit strategy when these homes are, when they're done using it as a sales office. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Carter?
And just for clarification, I think in same line as what Mr. Roberts was referring to, there's no limit to the number of times the permits can be renewed.
Not in our codes. As long
Right.
as they pay, it's a $150 annual permit fee, and as long as that's paid, it can be until the end of the project, yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Is there anybody here in the audience who would like to speak in favor? Anybody on Zoom?
Nobody's raised their hand.
Thank you. Anybody here who would like to speak in opposition? These are how our meetings generally go. Anybody on Zoom?
Not at this time.
Thank you. I think you've already responded to any questions. Do you have any further statements for us? Applicant? No? Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a question for Dory that she had mentioned about the permits. Is it one permit per home? It's not one permit for all 4 homes, is it?
No, so it may turn out that by the time near the end of pod 1 or 2, they may not want to use one of the models, so they don't have to renew that. So that's why we have 4 separate, we had them do it as 4 separate applications. Each application, each address will require that annual fee.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. Anything to summarize from the staff?
Staff recommends approval. We find it in compliance with the Land Development Code.
Thank you. Deliberations, and we'll start with Mr. Harder.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We're going to deliberate. Are you deliberating?
I'm good, I have no questions.
Thank you.
I have no questions.
None.
I have none.
I have none. I'm good.
Okay. Okay, great.
Easy peasy.
Then I will call for a motion.
Madam Chairman, I would like to make a motion for approving of the conditional use permits for the new model homes for Spirit of Sebastian Model Home Center, lots 4 through 8, with the conditions that were spelled out in the staff report under recommendations.
Second?
I second that.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Kitchen?
Yes.
Ms. Cottenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Haddix?
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso?
Yes.
And Mr. Carter?
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, item B is a quasi-judicial public hearing for the site plan, Spirit of Sebastian Recreational Tract, 100 Spirit Boulevard, Tract 1, Pod 2, Spirit of Sebastian PUD subdivision, event pavilion, mail kiosk, private pickleball courts, and agri-hood amenities. I love that word. Did you invent that? I love it. And again, has anybody here had any ex parte communication?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No.
Okay. And you are sworn in from, or do we need to do that separately again? No?
They already sworn in for the evening.
The swearing sticks. Thank you. Okay, applicant, please make your presentation.
Good evening again. This is Jody Falk. She's with our marketing department and an integral part of our development team, and she'll be assisting with the PowerPoint this evening for me. Technically, I have demons, so with the computer and printers, yes. Good evening. So this is for the rec tract that we are proposing for our site plan approval for the rec tract. We have a presentation tonight because The last time we were in front of the commission, things have changed since that time, and we thought it was appropriate to update everyone so you can see what our vision is and what the total vision is of this community. The first thing you'll notice is that we have changed our logo to more represent what we are actually doing in this neighborhood. So just as a reminder of what was approved, we have approved 586 single-family homes over 5 different pods. There's 207 single-family homes that are currently permitted. We have county water and sewer. There are no septic tanks in this development whatsoever. There are 12 acres of stormwater retention. And we understand that here in Sebastian, stormwater is a very, very hot topic, and making sure that we're not contributing to that problem. We have extensive stormwater retention, and I believe it would hold something like a 150-year storm for that. And so we've over-designed for our retention to make sure that we're not contributing to those existing problems. We have underground utilities, which always helps in storms and hurricanes. We're the only natural gas community here in Sebastian at this time. So the gas company has agreed, and they brought natural gas into the community, which is a very clean, healthy way of getting hot water and dryers and those kinds of things operated. And we also are a dark sky lighting community. So most of our lightings, we are not doing street lights to brighten up everything up and down. The boulevard has street lights, but the inside communities, they're all done with dark sky lanterns in front of the house in the old style, so that it's minimizing the light pollution that would come from our community. We are trying to be a sustainable community. We developed everything and was designed under the LID program, the Low Impact Development. Our community center will have lighted pickleball courts, 4 of them. It's a walkable community that we are encouraging bike riding and walking in the community as opposed to getting in your car and driving, a couple of 100 feet or 1,000 feet. So we're encouraging that. We're also going to be the only agri-hood community in Indian River County. And I will get into explaining what exactly that is in just a moment. So this is the site plan that was approved with the 207 homes. Judy Landing in the green is the current platted section. And there are 60 homes there, and thank you, Judy, in that area there. The next section we have is Archie Smith Landing, and that's our pod 1. We're actually developing this a little backwards so that construction traffic does not interfere with existing homes. So once that pod gets done, we're doing the east pod, which is the steel blue at the bottom there on the right with Archie Smith, and that's our phase B. And then phase 1 is the teal up at the top. And therefore, when people come in off of Old Dixie for their construction traffic, they're not really traveling through the neighborhood. They're traveling along some sides to get to that final community center up in that area. Oops, if you'll go back, I'm sorry. The orange area called Heritage Park, the amenity center that we are asking for approval for tonight is located there. And our boat storage facilities are over in the yellow section over here off of Old Dixie that we have permitted. And so there'll be boat and RV storage in that area as well for the community, so that they don't have to go outside the community for that. They can just limit trips in and out of the community as much as we can. And here's our new designed sign area. We realized when we first did this, we had the 2 wing walls on either side of Spirit Boulevard coming in, and that's just sort of the traditional thing that's always been done. And we were looking for something a little nicer, something that gives the feel of what we're wanting our community to be, which is sustainable. So we've designed this in 10 by 10 posts with a sign that is visible when you come down Del Monte. And makes a good impression of what we've done. Del Monte has been approved, improved, and those improvements are complete at this time. Here's an overall view as you're coming into our community with the white 3-rail fence and our gates coming in. And you can see the position of the sign. And here's the sign that is there. So you can see some of the proportions. It's a good size sign that's going in. And that'll be permitted through through Dory's department. Yes? Okay. And this is the overall site plan that we're asking for approval for tonight. We have ample parking that has been determined by staff as requiring. We are including quite a few bike racks to encourage bicycling instead of driving. The pickleball courts, I'll start on the right-hand side over here. We'll have 4 courts that are lit, and we have parking spaces for those, as well as bike racks on either side of that parking area for people to ride their bikes. And in other communities where we have developed pickleball courts, we find most of the people ride their bikes or walk and then play pickleball and then walk home. And it seems to be the most popular way to get to the community center. The other thing I'd like to point out is the size of the sidewalks going around the large open green space that we have. They're larger sidewalks that would permit 4, possibly 5 people walking side by side, and that is so that that green space can be used for events for not only the community, but for farmers markets and those kinds of things, and having tents along that. So we gave ample room for people to be walking through that and made those larger than what code would require. The community center is there in the center, and I will get to more details and a floor plan on that in a moment. We have a fire pit for people to enjoy during it's coming into the nicer weather now. We're getting into the 60s. So that was a gathering area, once again, for community members to have and enjoy the space. It will be well landscaped. We have landscaping around using Puerto Rican hat palms that we have acquired. The palm trees that were in the community that were left behind from the Brown family when they had this as a tree farm, we harvested the really healthy, good palm trees from there. We have transplanted them, we fertilized them, we are keeping them irrigated, and we will use them back in the community itself again, so that we're not destroying trees and then planting little sticks to replace them. We've tried to save everything that we could on that. The male pavilion is on the bottom left-hand side. That is a covered pavilion that is open beamed, and I'll show you some pictures of that. And then the most interesting part of our site plan I'd like to get to is our agri-hood area. And an agri-hood is a self-sustaining community that helps provide its own food for its residents as well. We try to grow our own foods. We want to be sustainable in that manner. The area will be professionally run, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But that area is approximately 300 feet long. Is that correct, John? So it's about a football field long. And then behind that, at the very bottom, we will be having a hedge of Florida blueberry plants, as well as our banana trees and those kinds of things, and do that in clusters to actually provide a little bit of a barrier at the top of that slope. And then in front of that, you will see fruit trees, and you can see the FT for fruit tree on that. And there will be about 12 to 15 different varieties of fruit trees that we'll be planting that over time will increase in harvest. As the community increases, those will get larger and provide fruits and things for our community members. So this is the slope and the agri-hood area. So this is our cutaway. And I'll start at the left. You see a 6-foot sidewalk which goes in front of the planter beds. The raised area to the right of that is our planter beds, and they are approximately 12 feet in width, about 27 feet in elevation to the top of that. The next area is a walkway behind them so that there's access to that planting area, front, back, and in between them. The next 6-foot area that's elevated there behind a retaining wall will be for fruits and vegetables that are vining. Some of our squashes and melons, cucumbers, and those kinds of things that like to ramble and go and vine will have that long section there that's 6 feet wide to grow in there. We have a 4-to-1 slope behind that, which will be where the fruit trees are all planted. And at the top of that, you'll see the small 2-foot section up there for the blueberry bushes and banana trees. This is a overall street view coming into the community. The mailbox pavilion, as you can see, it's rustic timber as well as the stonework. And our community center, which we're very proud of our design. We have spent a lot of time coming with this design. As you can see, it's weathered wood look. It is all Douglas fir. And this is going to be for our community and the public functions that we have there. And this is the rear of our building. It has a 600 square foot covered porch. That's great for just sitting out and enjoying the outside during our winter months, and it's shaded for those summer months as well. And this is a visual of the agri-hood, and you can see the boxes and the planters traversing that entire area along the east side of the property. You can see the 6-foot planter bed in the to the left there. And this is the framing for the inside of the building. It will all be exposed Douglas fir 8-foot posts. We went ahead and spent the extra money. Everything will be mortise and tenon and pegged, so you won't have brackets that are holding the joints together. It'll all be mortise and tenon construction. We did this for a couple of reasons. First of all, visually, I think it's stunning. But the other reason is so that it's easier for maintenance on our homeowners when over the years, because we are close to the salt water, and so some of those brackets could corrode, and it would just cause a maintenance problem. So we felt that that was worth the extra money to go ahead and make it with the mortise and tenon construction. And one of the other things I want to tell you, that's a 17-foot height to the bottom of those posts in there. So when you go in there, it will have a 17-foot height going down the middle of our building, and then it comes down from there and goes down to a 10-foot ceiling on the two sides as we come in. Each one of those black squares represents an exposed beam from those sides that you saw there. The gathering room is 1,600 square feet, just under 1,600 square feet. There's also a library area for playing cards, having meetings, social clubs, those kinds of things. If people want to get together and play mahjong or bridge or whatever. There's storage. We have a kitchenette that is available as well. There'll be room along one of the walls for catering. Should that happen, there'll be additional power set there so that it's pre-wired for that kind of power draw for catered events. The other thing we did was we made the two restrooms much larger than what would normally be in a building this size. And the reason we did that is because we wanted the events that are there and the public that comes out for farmers markets, and the room can be used for, reunions. It can be used for an anniversary celebration, and those kinds of things as well, baby showers that people may want to have, and that room can be used there. And we didn't want everybody coming out of there saying, wow, we sure had to stand in line for the restrooms. It's got to be about the event. So each restroom has 4 stalls and should be more than adequate for a building of this size. We'd like to show you a little bit of a drive-through of the area. Bear with us. QuickTime is not available. I don't either. Next. No. Oh, thank you. Can she, is that okay? Okay. Well, there's always a way around. There you go. That's why we brought Jody. So if you'll just pause for a moment. These next 2 videos that we are going to show, are our vision of what we'd like the site plan to look like. It is an artist rendering.
This will actually be the whole entire.
Get more than we planned for. So this is the entrance as we come in. Notice this causeway going between the two lakes has been raised about 5 feet to give it a causeway effect going across there. And an agri-hood is to be integrated into the community so that it's a meeting place for people. It helps to establish relationships within our community, pride in their community, self-sustainability. Our agri-hood can be used for educational purposes as well, teaching children about self-sustainability, how things don't just come from the grocery store, how they can be grown. And that's the pickleball area. You see the male pavilion, the fire pits, and the overall campus. So, an agri-hood cultivates relationships between neighbors and nature while enriching residents' lives through conservation and agriculture. We feel that if you're going to develop, you need to do it responsibly for the community that you're bringing people into. And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to do something special for not only Sebastian, but for Indian River County. This one's probably not going to run. Well, we can just take a look here real quick. What we did was, for the last year, we put together some prototypes of our planter beds, and we planted a season in that. And during that time, what we did was we tried to look for germination times, crop distance, crop durability, how long it took, how long they produced, so that we could start charting out how to plant our community out so that things will come together at the right time, so that we can provide not just one thing. Okay, all we have are tomatoes this week. That's not what we want to do. We want to be able to provide meals and sustenance for everybody living there, as well as provide for any extra we would be able to donate to some of our community who may need that, and have kitchens for helping people who are in need. So here's some of the vegetables that we have grown already out there, and let me tell you, the vegetables were incredible. They shocked all of us. We were very fortunate. The soil that we have there, University of Florida came back and said, "Boys, you're ready to go. This is gorgeous soil. Grow, grow, grow." And so we're not having to do a lot of fertilization. We're not having to do a lot of anything else. We are using leaves and branches and things that we built, that we fill the bottom of these, that will create a natural nutrition inside of each of these planter beds. And some of our produce that we actually grew last winter, you can see here, the cucumbers were so sweet, the tomatoes, the lettuce, the spinach. We had amethyst beans there that are stunning, and they surprise you because you'll put them in some water to boil and they turn green. But it was just wonderful. The radishes were sweet. They were not bitter. They were not hot. The onions, the cauliflower, the broccoli was tremendous. My wife would sit in front of the TV and I'd bring home a handful of beans, and she would sit in front of the TV and just eat the beans raw. They were so sweet and wonderful. So we're anxious to really get this going. And so this is the type of thing that we're trying to do with this community, and for what we would provide for the residents. And they will be able to come in, they will be able to help with this, the plantings, the weeding, the harvesting, and these kinds of things. But we came up with our spirit salad. And so what we would like to do is when we have a harvest, provide our residents who have signed up for this and to get Spirit salad basket. And, you know, have cucumbers and tomatoes and a lettuce base and carrots and some purplet onions, and provide a whole salad that they could use that evening that they picked that day or that week. So that's sort of our vision for what we would like for our community and our residents. And I thank you for your time tonight. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them in any way I can.
I do have one. I take it you got rid of your community pool?
Yes, we actually decided not to do a community pool. We designed the community so that anybody who wants a pool can have one in their backyard. Instead of wasting that time, that money, and that space on a swimming pool that everybody can do in their own yard, we wanted to do something that brings our community together in a sustainable way, more so than having water. It's also very expensive to have a community pool in there, and so we're trying to keep our HOA dues friendly and as low as possible. And by putting in a sustainable community and growing vegetables, we're giving back as opposed to taking money. You know, the money we spend actually gives a return to our residents.
Great exchange.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Yeah, I had a quick question on
Yes, sir.
the pickleball courts. The application says 8 parking spaces, but the rendering shows 7.
Dory, I believe that was changed, was it not?
If you'd like, we can go through the staff report and then for any questions, because I
That'd
can
be
maybe
perfect.
answer that. That may help. So yes, Robert and Jody got the pretty pictures. I got the black and white staff report, because we've got to show you that the site plan does meet the land development code and PUD. I did want to clarify that when Robert got up and said that things had changed, he was requiring to more of their vision or the activities that they're adding to this PUD. The preliminary plat and the plans that have gone before you in City Council have not changed, and their approved landscape plan, that's what we had to check to make sure that this site plan still met all of those originally approved plans. So he was just talking about more of their signage and their vision for this. He forgot to mention that they have an apiary already too. They have bees that are ready for these plants and all.
Yes, we have 100 beehives that are already on our property right now. The landscaping designs and all of those things for the fruit trees and the vegetables. Well, throughout the community, all of our landscaping designs for the homes have pollinator pockets designed in there to help support the bees. We're looking to bring back some butterflies. We're looking into that possibility of bringing in the butterflies and repopulating that. I mean, when I was growing up, you know, my brothers and I, we ran around, there were butterflies everywhere, and that sort of changed as we've gotten older here, and we don't see it as much. So we'd like to reintroduce that if we can, and so that's part of our thought process and where we're trying to go with this. Is there anything else, Dory?
Yes, no, not for you guys. I'll just
Okay,
go through
thank
the
you.
rest of the staff report. So what's in the staff report is what's required by code and some of their items in their PUD that were approved that we have shown you that they have provided. Regarding the parking, what we did was to help keep them the open spaces, we looked at that floor plan because a lot of parking is based on the floor plan, and we did the capacity. Private club areas are based on your capacity and how much parking. So we just calculated the capacity for the library and the areas that people can gather in. We did not do storage area that way, the bathroom area, the kitchen. We had worked with the fire marshal, and he established areas and helped us figure out the capacity for those areas. And on page 4 of our staff report, Michelle has shown how we've calculated that out. Parking is also required for pickleball, but what we did is similar to where we have worked with some of our sites where we have counted 2 motorcycle parkings as 1 parking space. Keeping with the neighborhood, we have kind of allowed the bicycle racks to count towards some parking, because we'd rather have them bring some of their bicycles, and we figured a lot of people would. So they've added some 4 bicycle racks that we've counted towards parking. So I believe that the parking, the 8, may be covered, though, with some of the bicycle racks that are there next to the pickleball courts. Landscaping was, we made sure that they had some of the general landscaping, but also they had already submitted with their preliminary plat. There was an approved landscape plan for that site. And as you can see along the roads, they have that picket fence and the trees instead of a hedge. So it was in compliance with their PUD plan. And so staff recommends approval. There's a little bit more wiggle room with these PUDs and this site plan of having to, they still have to meet setbacks and building heights, but this is their vision for their PUD. Between this one and River Oaks, we kind of like to use these, this is what a PUD is, where you kind of have, I don't want to call it a theme, but a vision for the development of their neighborhoods. We like to get River Oaks, we felt too, saving their wetland areas and putting their trails in, that's the intent of a PUD. And I think the recreational tract it meets the intent of their PUD. It certainly meets Land Development Code. Staff recommends approval of this site plan.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, commissioners can ask some questions of the applicant. I think you already did. Do you have another?
I do not, that was my.
Okay, Sherry?
I'm good.
I have questions. Not much, though. Actually, only two. In the garden area, have you dedicated some space for composting?
Yes, ma'am, that'll be part of the overall plan. I believe on the site plan, there was a square there which would have area for composting as well as a small storage building for tools and those kinds of things in the middle of all of those planter beds. So there is some areas for doing that. When it's summertime here in Florida, you can't grow a vegetable. It's just too hot. So those beds are composted during the summertime and then planted starting in October. We just started planting our second crop in our things there. So over the summertime, all those beds were covered with plastic, and we had compost and things in there to keep the soil growing and going, and we just turned over under all the plants and those kinds of things to do that.
I'm an avid gardener, so it took me a long time to learn that October is spring.
October is spring here.
October is spring. Yeah. And the black plastic covering, by the way, sterilizes the soil, so that's a good thing as well.
And it's great for weed control, natural weed control, as opposed to using chemicals. We're using the black plastic to cover
And you
those.
can grow a couple of things in the summer. Sweet potatoes grow great in the summer.
And we have sweet potatoes in our crop list. Yes, ma'am.
And then my only other comment is that the butterflies will come if you plant some flowers amongst the other things. I have probably a dozen different kinds in my yard, and I didn't even know they would come, but they just came magically because I had accidentally had the right flowers.
Yeah. And that goes to speak back to our pollinator pockets that we were talking about, not only in the community's landscaping, but in the residential landscaping and the buffers. They all have pockets of flowering plants and firebush and blue plumbago and all of these flowering plants to support that nature of the bees and the butterflies, which are so important just to our life. They get it done for us, and not very many people can appreciate that. But yeah, we've already had some honey production on the property, and that'll be available as well for everyone.
My only other comment is I wish this was built 20 years ago because I would love to live in a place like this. And I know many other people will too. Thank you for doing
You're
something
welcome.
really different.
And we would love to have you in our community.
I'm
Madam
pretty
Chairman.
old now.
Not moving again? Any other questions for me?
I don't.
No, I don't have
No?
any questions. I think it's fabulous.
I just had a quick question. I know we had a couple other two other developments that are gonna be starting in our community. I was wondering, in this community, is there gonna be any kind of affordable housing planned?
Not in the 207 lots that we have. There's not any kind of affordable housing planning for that. The rest of the development has not been approved for those things. So there's some possibilities that we might be able to do some townhome type things to pull some of that pricing down. But the cost that has hit us for the development is so substantial. I can give you an example from the time that we signed our contract to have our site work done until the time that we had our land development approval. Just the cost of the pipe itself went up almost $750,000 in 6 months. It's very difficult at this time to do those things. But yes, it is something we would love to work with and possibly do in some of those other areas that have not been permitted at this time.
Okay. Do you have any idea how much the HOA fees are gonna be?
Approximately $150 a month right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that includes your lawn and landscaping treatment there.
And that's all the community dues and everything?
Community dues and everything. Now, once the clubhouse, I believe, comes online, that will go up a little.
Yes, the first year we'll only have the community as a whole with the lawn and landscape maintenance, and then once the clubhouse is completed next year, we'll add in those expenses to the HOA fee. So it will not be a huge increase, but we like to disclose that so there's no confusion when you have a set cost or fee in 2023 and then it changes in 2024. That's why we did that.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else?
Yes, I want, in conjunction with the HOA fees, does that include the garden manager fee, salaries and that as well?
Yes, sir, it will.
Is there one person assigned for that position, or is there?
Yes, sir, there will be a single, at this time, in our budget and what we've done, there's a single person in charge of that. And we felt it was better to have a single person in charge to direct and guide the community members.
Yeah.
So that it's productive time when they come and volunteer, and it doesn't become an area for contention. And so having a leader there is important, we felt. And so we put that into that budget.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
One other question, and you mentioned earlier in the beginning of your presentation about dark light, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Lighting for the kiosks for the mail and things of that nature. What kind of lighting are you having in there? Because I'm not seeing, at least on the elevation picture anyway.
Correct. We have the required lighting for the parking lot that's required, obviously, by law and code. The mail kiosk will have some very dim lighting in there for nighttime, just for safety reasons. We can't have it dark, like that. So it is lit. It's handicap accessible. Everything was designed to meet the code for that, so that anyone can access their mailboxes.
Okay. And I'd just make a general comment about your presentation. Was on spot, I think. It was very good. Y'all have done, obviously, a lot of thinking about this. I like to think about all the things look nice. So it's going to be a real contribution to our community. Unlike many times when people hear about developments coming in and things like that, oh, it's going to change everything. And yeah, it'll change things, but you'll have something good come out of it. So
we like to try to grow with grace
in that regard. So
Mr. Carter, thank you very much.
Job.
That means a lot. Thank you.
And good luck with the community. Oh, any idea what the price point on the homes will be?
Our builders set those price points. We have very little control over that.
I'm sure you have a figure in mind.
Yes, they have posted upper 300s.
Okay.
So I think they're starting at 375 or 380 and going from there. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good then. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Is there anyone in our presence who would like to speak in favor of this? Anyone else? No, thank you. On Zoom?
No, ma'am.
Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this? How about on Zoom?
Not this time.
It's easy tonight.
I know that seems silly, but we have a list. We have to do this. Okay, I think you've responded to all of our questions. Staff summary?
I did want to, staff is recommending approval. I'd like to add part of the record, a couple of things I did not add in part of they have a master stormwater, so this site, it will be connected to that master stormwater. It didn't need its own retention area or stormwater. And also, as part of their recreation, remember that half of their recreation amount needed to be open, for a PUD, needs to be open to the community. And so when this plat came through as part of the public, their Spirit Boulevard, when they do have all 5 pods done, from Del Monte to Bailey Drive, the sidewalks along Spirit will be open to the public for walking and bicycling, and then events will be able to be held at the pavilion that will be open to the public. This is counting towards some of their recreational requirements for their community and their neighborhood recreation conformity that they need to do. Staff recommends approval of the site plan.
Thank you. Any further deliberation from the commissioners? Yes, sir.
The irrigation, is it going to be provided from the stormwater collection?
I believe, yes, yep, they pull irrigation from their stormwater ponds.
Sorry, I probably didn't come up to address you. I apologize for that. Yes, sir, that is all connected from our retention lakes, and we have a control system for that that's been designed specifically for that, so that the lakes aren't just randomly filled. It's very controlled, and St. John's was instrumental in helping us come up with a system that will work, that we can pull our irrigation. The homes are also irrigated that surround those retention ponds. They are all also irrigated from the storm retention.
So the homes that are not located on the ponds?
They actually have to have a individual well on those, but anything around that does that, and the community irrigation comes out of our stormwater retention.
So you're going to provide irrigation via wells, not reclaim?
That is correct.
Okay, and you're having one central pump location to do that, or each one of
We
those?
We have a central location, I believe. John, if you can come up and speak on that a little more.
Good evening. My name is John Blum, engineer with Carter Associates. Yes, we do have one pump station for the stormwater harvesting.
Gotcha. Okay, and there's no entertainment of reclaimed water instead of wells?
No, just the stormwater reharvesting. Reclaimed water is not available. Are you talking from wastewater?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not available.
Interesting.
I think that might be a bridge too far yet. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any additional questions? Okay. Then I will call for a motion.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept and approve the site plan for the Spirit of Sebastian Recreational Tract, 100 Spirit Boulevard, Track 1, Pod 2, Spirit of Sebastian PUD subdivision for the event pavilion, mail kiosk, private pickleball courts 4, and agri-hood amenities.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Ms. LaRusso?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Haddix?
Yes.
Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Ms. Kitchen?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
And Ms. Cottenberg?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having this meeting for us tonight.
Thank you.
I'm just sorry we didn't get any public tonight. The last few public hearings, we were overloaded, but they would have loved to have heard about this one.
Yeah.
Okay, unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have
No
none.
business, I just want to let you know, at last night's city council meeting, the conceptual plan for the River Oaks Preserve PUD was approved. I believe you had recommended it, was a 4-3 vote, and you had recommended some conditions. Those were discussed at 2 separate public hearings at city council, and they did revise your conditions, but it was approved. They are not extending Shakespeare Street as a 2-way road down. They are putting a gate at Lighthouse there. It'll just be for emergency, but it will be accessible for pedestrians and bicyclists. But I did want to let you know that that conceptual plan has been approved, so we're going to be working on the preliminary plat, and that'll come before you when they're ready with that. So that project was approved last night.
Thank you.
Was there a big turnout last night?
There was, yes.
Yeah.
I think the first hearing had more of the public input and,
Yeah.
speaking, but.
Dory, could I ask you a question? When did the rule gated subdivisions have to have public access? The whole point of living in a gated community is to not have anybody.
So it's not that it has to be in that community. It's been in the comp plan, it's been in the code book, but it's been more enforced and more policies came from it. But what it states is there's a certain amount of, how you calculate how much recreation you have to have, and half of that has to be neighborhood recreation, and the other half has to be community recreation. If you don't want it in your subdivision, there are options in our code that you can purchase recreation property outside of the subdivision that would go towards the city. You can deed it to the city for recreation purposes. So it's not in our code book that says it has to be in that private subdivision, but that you just have to provide community recreation activities or areas. And there are different, in our code book, there are different areas. So it's cheaper to somehow get it within your community than having to buy some additional property to either deed or to maintain for the public to use.
Thank you.
So it's not really a rule, it's an option. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.